Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is Dr. Vairavi Balasubramanian, PhD, the Sky Priestess. I've been away for a little while, mainly because of astrological alignments. What all of us have been experiencing in these past few days is, of course, the intensity of the shift that we have been feeling with Chiron moving out of Pisces and into Aries. For those of you who are not familiar with the mythology, Chiron represents the energy of the wounded healer. Now, mythologically speaking, Chiron gets wounded, I believe, by an arrow, and he goes around trying to find medication, healing for his wound. He never fully finds the healing that he's looking for, but his knowledge that he has acquired through his search allows him to actually provide many useful and valuable healing remedies, medications, and advice for others who are also in search for healing for their own wounds. So basically, Chiron is the archetype of the wounded healer itself. Now, as I have discussed many a time in my blog page, on through the body of my works, I feel that collectively we do need to be moving out of this wounded healer paradigm in and of itself. So whilst Chiron tempts us to locate and fixate our paths of spiritual development solely in terms of our relationship with the wound, especially with Chiron in Pisces, what I would encourage all of us to do with this Chiron in Aries energy is to give ourselves permission to rewrite the story of the wounded healer. Where we are told we will never find healing, where we are told that healing will take lifetimes, will take millennia, will take this many hours or this many cycles or this many types of works, where we are told that healing is a certain process that requires a certain level of suffering and that this suffering is the actual prerequisite to us actually being any good in the world. These are the stories where we are told that we need to challenge and counter. So in the spirit of countering the narrative of Chiron itself, with Chiron in Aries, it's very, very apt to do this work of challenging those established ideas. I would say use this energy as it has begun, as it has started today, to look at how we understand the relationship of the self as it is defined with respect to the wound, and look at the boundaries of that relationship. And once you are happy dissecting that discourse, trying to identify the timelines that say this is when this has started, this is how this has evolved, this is when this ought to go, throw it all away. Because Aries is not an energy that asks you to think. I ask you to think in the first place just so you can get all that mind talk out of the way. Aries is an energy that asks you to embody and feel. So write down all of your discourses, write down all of your timelines and assumptions about healing, and then rip them up. That's what I would advise you to do with Chiron and Aries, because healing can be this fast. Now, that doesn't invalidate the work of healers who have painstakingly spent ages, lifetimes, years doing whatever it is that they are doing. It is to say that they have chosen certain karmic paths that require them to do so. But that is not a choice that needs to be universal, nor is it a choice that I would advise for everyone. With Chiron and Aries, I ask you to go and give yourselves permission to go back to that place that is so early in your origin, is so fundamental, quintessential in the genesis of your being, that it predates every known language, civilization, thought form, culture, everything. The part of you, or rather the place of you, that is connected intimately with primordial essence. It is a place where potential exists. Possibilities are abound, and we do not solely exist in relationship to our wounds, but equally to our strengths. We do not exist solely in relationship to those things that have seemingly cut open, divided us, chalked us into discrete little points in time and space that try to create our narrative in the words of pain, but really a narrative that simply does not need a narrative. It does not need pain as its focal point of existence. To go back into this space is not something that I can do for you by saying, read this book, do this practice, do this mantra. It is an experience that only you can find in yourself when you simply allow yourself to be. Now, there are facilitators, teachers, pathways that can get you back into that space of beingness, but you've got to trust them and they've got to know what they're doing. So this particular transit begins powerfully sandwiched between the new moon in Aries that has just passed, and also the upcoming conjunction of the Sun and Uranus, trying the Galactic Center. Trust yourselves. Trust the road that you have taken. Trust the guidance that you have been given. And if you're not sure what to do, just hug a tree and just ground for the entire day, because that in itself is a powerful enough exercise. remember that your origin is not simply rooted in this lifetime, but it is something that is so very ancient that any human attempt to define the wholeness and totality of you is itself a failed exercise, because you are that much larger than that. Now, before anyone gives me the idea, all is one, we need to process the collective pain, I get that. But before you try processing collective pain, start with yourself and realize that the very identity that you hold on to as yourself is a construct of your mind. And what you truly are is something you will only realize once you go beyond the mind, either upwards or downwards, and whichever direction you take is up to you. So I have also been reading a lot of, I wouldn't say negative, but a lot of discourse on the Chiron in Aries transit is one that tries to locate pain in the developmental process of the child, that is giving people the idea that this is an energy that invites birth trauma. Statistically, this might be the case, but this is not the narrative. This is not the expression of Chiron in Aries that you really want to latch onto. Remember, even if we were to look at Chiron in its original form, wounded healer, we still see the possibility and potential for healing. So instead of focusing on the chances of how everything was going to go wrong, when and how and where and why and what healing and what progress you're going to make from it, focus upon the healing itself that you can have without necessitating that basic wound. I know what I'm saying for a lot of you might be uncomfortable, but I would encourage you to do a little bit of reading on Carolyn Miss's body of work, especially her books Anatomy of Spirit and also Why People Don't Heal and How They Can. And in it she really presents this concept of woundology, which for me at the very least completely transformed my life, because it showed me how giving power to that narrative of woundedness actually limited my capacity to heal myself and those whom I came into contact with. So I know this is a lot. A lot of you probably already know what I'm saying, but you like hearing me say it anyway, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this. Remember that Chiron in Pisces will come back later in the year. So start shoring up. Start allowing yourself to go deep into the experience of you-ness, however you define that. Remember, that's not an intellectual exercise. That's not something that you can abstractly conceptualize and imagine into being. That is something that is so essential to you that the answers are so deep within you that you can't even imagine how far they go. So, good luck. If you're doing anything particularly intense, spiritually speaking, please use proper protection. Please use proper grounding. This is going to be an extraordinarily rewarding transit for those of you who are willing to challenge and move out of the wounded healer paradigm. And let us find a collectively new way to redefine our relationship with Chiron. So, take care, ciao, ciao, and God is blessed. Bye!